Hey, welcome to the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Your questions answered by the pros you trust, presented by Pro Exteriors. Today, we are going to dive into a topic which I know is important for most homeowners listening, and we're going to answer the question, how can I best protect my family at home? Yep, today we are tackling the topic of home security. Now, to help us answer this question and tackle this topic, I'm excited to have a couple of pros in this space. On today's episode, we have Darrin Moore and Chris Maddox of SafeHouse. Darrin is the founder and president. He retired from law enforcement after 25 years of public service. He started SafeHouse wanting to use his training and knowledge of law enforcement and turning that into a security company that focused on high quality products and service. Now, after 10 years with the company, Darrin is part of the team he helped build to continue serving the community. Now, Chris Maddox recently joined the team, and he is focused on helping customers understand their systems and to meet the needs of new customers. The mission of SafeHouse is simple. It's to provide safety for you, our customers, through advanced digital technology-driven monitoring, accompanied with the experience of our highly dedicated security specialist, to be prepared for any urgent requirements and to provide these services during emergency situations. The bottom line is that they want to make the world a safer and better place. Darrin and Chris, welcome. This is the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. Do you have questions about an upcoming exterior contracting project? We've got answers. Welcome to the You Ask the Pros Answer podcast. All right, Darrin, I was wondering if we could kick this off by having you share the origin story behind SafeHouse.
Absolutely. So I actually was a victim when I was a police officer. Live in a community. Like many communities, occasionally you'll get a crime wave go through the community. Somebody broke into my personal vehicle, stole $500 worth of gear from me at my residence with an unmarked patrol car or a patrol vehicle in the driveway. So they knew who I was, and they just kind of rubbed it in my face a little bit.
Yeah. So
it kind of pointed out a vulnerability to me. And I was already familiar with alarm systems and camera systems. I mean, we would view video for police purposes. So it piqued my interest. I was near retirement, and I said, you know what, I've got to look into this. I started looking at camera systems and alarm systems and what was out there. I didn't really like everything I saw or some of the people I met in the industry. Nothing personal. I just didn't like the vibe. So, I got into some details, I got my feet dirty and I said, I can do better. And, SafeHouse was born. We started small, but I think we initially started putting in camera systems and we went with high quality gear and we just tried to make a difference right from the start.
So you mentioned that, like on a personal level, some of the individuals or companies that you looked at maybe left a little bit to be desired. What were some of the gaps in the market that you observed that you tried to fill from the get-go?
I think it was quality, to be honest. I mean, there was lots of devices out there. There were a lot of systems in place. The quality wasn't being offered to me, or I couldn't find it direct. Some of the information I was getting wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't accurate, but it just was polished a little bit. It made things look better than they were. So, actually I put in a camera system on my own before I started, and I was totally unhappy with it a year or two later. And I had spent, I don't know, like $700 on this system that I installed. And I ripped it out and threw it away. I said, this is junk. So, from there, just seeing the need to be upfront, honest, and caring, and just putting in quality products and really going into the details. The details matter when you're talking about somebody's security.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we often talk about how the home especially is where memories are made, and it's one of those things. When we talk about roofing and siding, we talk about it being the first line of defense for the exterior of your home, and so it's a very personal thing, I'm sure, for the clients and the customers and the homeowners you talk with, that their family's safety is probably near the top, if not at the very top of their priority list, as it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is first. I think we get calls for a variety of reasons, but either something has happened that has made them feel unsafe, or they're already aware of what alarm systems can do and camera systems can do. And they're becoming more the norm today.
Yep. Now, Darren, I know the guy sitting next to you, and our audience might know them by name now because I mentioned his name at the outset, but I've known the guy sitting next to you for years, and I know he wears many different hats. And today, while he's not wearing an actual hat, we'll have to get you a Pro Exteriors hat at some point. I know he's wearing a new hat. And so I'm wondering if you could officially introduce this guy sitting next to you and share just a little bit about what he's bringing to the SafeHouse team.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. We're ecstatic to have Chris on our team. Chris Maddox, friend of mine. I've known him for a good number of years. We met actually through work. He worked for a customer of mine, which, through the years we had several interactions, and then, became friends through that. And then even he reached out to us to do some work at another location. We continued to talk and be friends and realized that we had other mutual friends in common. And Chris is a natural. He's just an honest, a real, sincere person who cares about people. And that's what we were looking for. I mean, he's, I don't want to say too much, but he's a smart guy and he cares about people. And those two things are really important. That's kind of where we're looking.
So Chris, at the core of it, what is it that you're going to be doing? What are you doing now with SafeHouse? Kind of what area are you focusing in?
Yeah, so my role is to help customers, residential or commercial, design systems that meet their safety needs.
Okay.
For whatever building or property that they're trying to make sure is both safe and they're trying to manage. As a customer, previously, I kind of know what SafeHouse, what kind of services and technology we can provide for customers. And so I'm able to kind of speak from both sides of, hey, this is what I know we can do for you as a company, but also I know what that means as a customer, kind of twofold, because I've been a customer in two different capacities of SafeHouse. And so my area of operation, I guess, is in the Delaware Beach area. So that's kind of my area of focus. A lot of the people that I'm interacting with, networking with, are mostly going to be in that Eastern Sussex County, Kent County region, which I have a lot of friends down there. We have a lot of people that, have second homes, new homes even are going up in this area. And, the communities are still relatively new, or some are very well established, but may not have either a security presence for their home or for their business. And so we want to help them kind of gain that level of security and defense for the things that are important, whether it be their family, or even for the business that they've invested time and money into. We want to help protect that as well.
Yeah, I imagine you'll be working with a lot of folks, like you said, who have second or third homes, and they aren't physically there for a significant portion of the year.
Yeah, so the security side of that is good and helpful for that as well. But the other side is, Darren mentioned camera systems and different devices that can be linked to your security system. We have a lot of customers that use their security and camera systems, both for security, but also for home management. There's a lot of things that you can monitor or make sure are working correctly when you're not there, that you can get alerts and just different things that are very helpful for people to have total control of the property or the space they're trying to keep safe, but also make sure that is taken care of when they're not around.
Yep. Well, that's a really good segue to what I want to ask you guys next. But first, Chris, if you were wondering if you're working for a good company, I can tell you right off the bat, any company that's going to stick you in a spot like the Delaware Beach area as your first assignment, I mean, come on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get a beautiful office every day. It's great.
All right. So what are the core services that you guys offer? And I'll let you guys fight over who wants to take this.
So I guess, we're like a blanket. I think we're going to cover everything security based, but we're security integrators. So access control, which would be, cards, key fobs, codes to get in. A lot of that is commercial. There is some residential applications. We do alarm systems across the board. You can get into so many different things with alarm systems. Like Chris mentioned, with even home management, determining, if you have a water leak or if you've got a temperature issue. Security cameras, they're huge. Everybody wants cameras now. It seems like there's so many cameras out there to choose from. It gets confusing. There's misinformation. That's where, we come in and kind of lay things out and get into the weeds. We do a lot of commercial stuff in Maryland. We do commercial fire systems. We're currently, considering what we need to do in Delaware. Delaware is a little different for commercial fire. We do structured cabling, all network cabling. So we've got jobs that we've run 150,000 foot of cable on. So we're qualified. We've got an excellent team. I put our team against anybody in the business. Lots of different certifications and licensing and processes that we go through. But I guess to answer that question, I hate to just say we do it all, but I think security wise, from residential to high-end commercial, we can pretty much do anything you need done.
All right. Well, let's focus in a little bit then on the residential side of things. When you are talking with customers, and Darren, like you said, you started out as a victim. So you kind of were a customer before you were the president of this business. What are the most common security concerns that homeowners communicate to you?
Honestly, it's probably one you didn't think I would say, but residential especially, it may revolve around price to some degree. And I think there are offers out there and there are options for people to get things cheaply. That's probably not your best and most secure way to go about things. I'm not saying that we're expensive, because I don't think we are. I'm just saying, you need to be price conscious, but you need to worry about the quality of what you're putting in. Like me, when I purchased the camera system and it ended up in the trash the following year later, I literally blew that $700. At the end of the day, the video quality was poor. It didn't work as it was supposed to work. So I think concerns are, in general, besides that, it's making sure that the basics are covered. Doors. A lot of people will say they want a smoke detector added to it because that's a great idea. And then everybody wants cameras. Everybody's asking for cameras along with, some type of alarm system. Yeah. So how can they integrate and what their options are? And, we could talk for days about different products and what they do, how they're connected, what we have to do to install them. I think that pretty much in a nutshell is your residential answer. That's what people are thinking about.
Chris, I know you're just a few weeks in, right?
Yeah.
When you go to sit down or meet with a homeowner, what are some of the first steps that you're going to encourage them to take when considering the system?
Well, I think the first thing to ask, that I would ask is, what's your goal with your system? Is it just to have some awareness of, is somebody on my property that shouldn't be? So, maybe we're looking at cameras. Is it just to defend the four walls of my home? Okay. Are we looking at just a burglary system? Is there other things that you're trying to monitor and protect? So I think the ultimate goal of the customer, of the residents especially, is really important to helping us design the system to do what a customer is desiring. Darren mentioned there's some really inexpensive options that you can pull off of Amazon or go pick up at Lowe's, what have you. Sometimes they're just prefab, you're going to install that and might meet some of your needs, might meet some of your concerns, but you might find there's things about it that don't quite get you what you want.
Yeah.
And then, he also mentioned the quality aspect. A lot of those devices, they're well marketed, but you have to be the professional on when that thing, whatever it is, fails. I ran into a situation with that recently. I had a device that disconnected from my network, and I had to become the professional on how to reset it. And so, that's the other aspect, that a lot of people either don't really have the time or don't have the desire to have to fiddle with a device they've paid for not working the way they hoped it would. So I think the biggest thing would be to find out, what are your major concerns? What are you trying to accomplish with a security system or a camera system? And then making that designing that system to meet those needs, to meet those desired goals.
So I would imagine, Darren, when you started out in law enforcement, and this is the same for when I was growing up, and Chris, I'm sure the same for you too. It seemed like there were two primary options for home security. One was a all-encompassing, like you hire a company, I'm not going to mention the name, but they come out, they install all the things, and then you pay them for a monitoring service as well. So that's option one. Option two is you get a big scary dog that may or may not work. A lot has changed. Technology has changed. I think homeowners have become, I don't know, our society has changed too. We used to be a front porch society where we sit out on the front stoop. We all know our neighbors. So many of us now pull in our garages at night. We might not see our neighbors for weeks at a time. I am inundated with advertisements on streaming platforms and podcasts for do-it-yourself, a la carte kind of systems. So what is the difference between a DIY system that maybe I go and buy some stuff on Amazon or from one of these other companies that may have some really great products? So what's the difference between that and going with a company that has a track record of not only knowing the technology side, but also serving this local community? So what are the differences there that you've seen?
So in many cases, your DIY equipment that you buy from Amazon or anywhere is proprietary. So if something breaks, you're going to have to go back to that company and try to find a part or a piece that's going to work with it. Everything right down to the cabling, the wire, could be a lesser quality, lesser grade. You have to remember that they're in business to make money, like everybody is, and we are too. But I'm honest and upfront with all of our customers. And if you find a DIY solution that actually works for you, I'll say, hey, that's great. I'll answer whatever questions I can answer. And, we're here if you change your mind. Mm-hmm. I think quality and those types of things that you don't see, they show you the shiny bells and whistles, but you miss what's in the box until you start putting it together. And then you're like, was this worth what I paid for it? Or is this going to do what I want it to do? And then, having a company that's local that can respond when you need help. We have a dedicated service team. We've got dedicated office staff, at least 4 people in the office most all the time to take questions and answer calls and send service texts. That's invaluable. When you need something, I picked the phone up. I made myself available last night for a public meeting regarding a system that we had quoted, and I answer the phone whenever it rings. If it's a customer, somebody calling that needs help, we've got a dedicated service line for the same reason. So I guess you're not just buying an alarm system, you're buying a company. So you've got us there kind of in your back pocket. If something goes wrong, we want to help. We're happy to help. So I think that's the biggest and noticeable difference. And then we've got people like Chris that will come out and meet you. And, these systems are expandable. So knowing what they can do, you can start off small, you can add to them. And a lot of times when you get something that's DIY, it's like, did I buy a kit that I can add to in the future? What if we add a room on, or what if I decide I want more sensors, or my security needs have changed? That's where you pick the phone up and call us.
Yeah. I would imagine, I'm kind of making the assumption that when you go the DIY route, that somebody might be underprotected, but I'm sure there are people out there that'll just throw cash at gadgets and go overboard too, to the point where the system isn't even like, maybe the different devices don't talk to one another, and there's all sorts of unseen holes in their, whatever you want to call it, in the system that they've installed. Have you guys come across that, where somebody is just like, I got all the cool things, but they're not actually doing what they were designed to do even?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can give you a prime example is we've had, people that have maybe smoke alarm that's installed in an improper area. So you don't want to put them around vents and those types of things that could false trip it due to dust. A lot of times when we start explaining how the system works, it's really more or different than what the customer thought from the beginning. So they're like, oh, okay. So now I get it. I understand why I need this to do that. So many times, like I said, that they'll read that cut sheet, they'll read that information online, or the one person who put up I won't say the name, but put up a DIY camera and they loved it. And they're like, this is what you need. You've got to get this. This is the greatest. It's not even what the person is looking for or what they have to have. Maybe they need to read tags, or, maybe they need personal identification to send them a notification if somebody's at their door. I mean, it's just endless.
All right. I think this is the perfect place to hit pause for this week. Next Friday, we will finish up the conversation that I had with Darren and Chris. Hey, would you please help us continue to get the word out about the show? The best way to do this is to leave reviews on Apple Podcasts, follow us on social media, or simply tell a friend. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Before we go, we want to hear from you. What are some of the questions you have related to exterior home remodeling? The process involved, the options that are out there. You can send your questions to info@askproexteriors.com and place "You Ask" in the subject. If you're facing an upcoming home project, we hope this episode has empowered you to tackle it with confidence. Remember, knowledge is power, and a little bit of research can go a long way. Until next time, happy homeowning. The You Ask, the Pros Answer podcast is produced in-house by the Pro Exteriors team. Pro Exteriors is the exterior contracting division of Empire Construction Group, LLC. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. For more answers to your questions, please subscribe to this channel and podcast so you'll never miss an episode. Do you have an upcoming home remodeling project? Find more answers to your questions at askproexteriors.com. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Would you please help us out by hitting that subscribe button? That would be awesome. Also, if you never want to miss another one of our uploads, please be sure to hit that notification bell. All right, thanks. See you.